Take out your phones, take out your Facebook pages, go ahead and share it to your page. This is a public image moment right now. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm refreshing the page myself. I want everybody to go take out their phones if they can and go ahead and share this out just so that everybody sees exactly what we're doing. All right, I'm doing it right now. I don't see you doing it. Oh, wait. I know Hugh's doing it. I saw Hugh doing it. All right, who else is doing it out there? Perfect. Sharing it out. Where's your phone at, sir?
Oh, I've already liked it.
Oh,
I've already shared it.
You're much more efficient than I am. So I know we're about to hop into it, but tell everybody what we're going to be digging into today.
Well, we're going to dig into a couple of different things. One of the most critical ones that we're going to be talking about is if your club would falter and close, would you be missed? And that in itself is extremely vast, and it's extremely important that clubs recognize that they're going to be. So we'll talk about that, but we're also going to get into some public image, which lends itself to membership, and just something as simple as Jason at inquiring and requesting you guys to share it on your Facebook page, because you never know what Rotarians, future Rotarians, are out there, and providing them this link to see the district conference, our district celebration, is a great way to immerse them in what we do, who we are, and why we do it.
Exactly. We're going to be talking about clubs being missed. So don't miss out on the opportunity to share this and get this in front of some other folks and make sure that that's happening. But before we get started, I have to know a little bit about what you've been up to over these past COVID months, good sir. What has been your highlight, especially since maybe 2021, now that we're looking to things are reopening? What have you been up to?
The pandemic has not slowed me down at all.
Okay.
This past year, I served both as the public image chair for the district and as area governor for Washington County. And both of those have kept me extremely busy. COVID, put all our clubs, not just with my county, but with the entire district, the entire world, put the clubs into a status freeze. And it was really important that all our governors, our area governors, our district governor was out there busting the sidewalk down to making sure that our clubs were still engaged. They were still doing stuff, even if it meant a monetary. Most of our clubs in our district, I was so proud of. They donated the money that was normally spent on their meals to area programs like food banks. And just absolutely outstanding to see the Rotary clubs not freezing up, not locking down.
You know what didn't lock down? Your pin collection.
Oh, no.
So how many pins do you actually own?
Oh, this is actually all of them.
Those are all of them?
These are all the ones I own. Yep, they're all there.
All right. I'm one not to be very pin heavy, but it is a great opportunity. We're going to be talking about how important it is to be missed and making sure that we're out in the public. Making sure that we're representing the pins is a very easy way to make sure that people are aware of who we are and what we represent in our communities. So I might need to borrow a pin from you.
I got one for you.
Perfect. Everybody, we're about to hop into this, but make sure you share this out if you have not already. So why don't we just start digging into this topic of being missed from a club perspective? I know a lot of clubs are struggling right now, even before COVID hit, especially after COVID hit. So what are we talking about? What's the first set of questions we need to answer?
Well, the first question that these clubs are looking to get answered is, do we matter? If they feel themselves into a stale, complacent position, they're going to actually start to tend to ask that question is like, well, are we even doing anything? And this makes me remember, and I'm sure everyone has seen it, especially around Christmas time, the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Jimmy Stewart learned a very, very valuable lesson. And one of those lessons was even the smallest thing that you might do touches people in a more dramatic way than you even knew.
Yep.
So
that's very true.
That's the first step that a club should actually think about is reflect back on all the things they've done, the people they've touched, the organizations they touched. And right there lies the answer is, yeah, you would be missed. If you never existed or you shut down, how is that organization going to continue to survive?
Absolutely. There's in my own travels, I've met a lot of clubs that whether they've done something like they're super passionate about that has happened now, or they've planted the seeds of things that are to come. The energy and the effort of these clubs is so necessary to continue and to persist, that the idea of a group saying, you know what, will I be missed? Is this something? Will anyone remember me? Yes, but you need to continue pushing on. We need to figure out ways of getting more members. You need to figure out more ways of creating new clubs and new opportunities for folks so that legacy can continue.
Correct.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I reflect on is we had a club that's in my area that unfortunately finally closed their doors and walked away. And one of the areas that they touched is their local Boy Scout troop that they sponsored for years on end. They were up for 20 some years and they sponsored this Boy Scout club.
Right.
And just before shutting their doors, they gave all the rest of their money to the Boy Scout club. Now, here's the thing. Once that money runs out, how are they going to survive?
Right.
They now have to find an alternate source of supplementing their money. So right there in itself is that club is now going to be missed.
Right, absolutely. Tonight, folks, we're going to be tossing the ball back and forth between each other, asking each other questions, digging into this a little bit. So I've been asking you a lot of questions. Throw one at me, good sir. What you got for me?
Okay, well, a lot of people may not know this, but
Yes.
Jason actually served as public image for the zone and for our district. And when you were doing that,
Yes.
what things have changed for the better in public image, and what things have gotten worse?
What has gotten better is the know-how of people understanding how to use social media. That's been a plus, right? Knowing how to properly put a post on Facebook or go live on Facebook, since we're live now on Facebook, or post up the pictures and whatnot to their social media pages. That has been a plus because you don't have to rely necessarily on a news outlet putting out press releases or about this in order to get your message out. That has been a wonderful thing. The drawback of this is that a number of clubs, just like we all do, kind of get lazy with it, since it's not, oh, I can just toss this up here. I can just post this over here. I can make a Rotary logo that's not particularly the same as my branding and toss it up on this side. The negative of being able to do that is the lack of desire to be consistent with the quality of content and also be consistent with the branding. And that is hugely important, so that when someone sees the post that you share, hopefully you shared it, just like this, they understand, oh, that's the same group as that, and they're doing some cool stuff over here. So the plus is that more people using social media and being effective. Maybe some clubs have even started to use TikTok. Maybe you're that clever. But also the thing that's important to remember is that we need to be even better about that, especially when it comes to branding.
Yep. And branding is so very important. We must adhere to Rotary International's guidelines and requirements in using the Rotary logo,
Right.
because it keeps it fluid. It keeps it constant. Everybody recognizes the same thing. There's a lot of apps out there that Rotary International has put out. One of them is the People of Action app.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely a phenomenal way to put up a picture of a club's activity with no verbiage. You don't have to put any kind of words in your post. The picture with this template loads up that, and instantly, like today, right, we could be actually putting together We Have Fun, one of my favorite ones, because Rotary is fun. We have a lot of fun with what we do. But we get a lot of work done too.
Right. So an example of this, that's a positive example of being like, you can pull this stuff from the branding website on Rotary.org, the Brand Central on Rotary.org. How many of y'all in chat have posted a picture of your Zoom session, and that's probably been 90% of your pictures over the past few months? If that has happened to you, feel free to let us know in chat, because I'm sure it's happened to some. And the goal of this People of Action, even amidst what we're doing right now, and the fun piece, is to find ways of showcasing these aspects without just relying on the fact of, oh, it's simple enough to take a screenshot of Zoom. Great. But is that really going to be convincing those other folks out there that this is something that's different? This is something innovative. This is something inspirational. This is something worth of change? No, probably not. So what's that next step?
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the, even we take the Together We Have Fun.
Sure.
One of the other one of the other templates that I use a lot is Together We Transform. This is so vast. You can actually show a picture of your Rotary Club, maybe painting a ratty old fence or rebuilding a fence, and put in that template, Together We Transform. Instantly, you are telling your friends and your friends of friends that Rotary is out there doing this kind of work, this simple act, but it speaks volumes to many people. And you never know what future Rotarian you're actually talking to.
One other point to that, you just made me think of this. When you this together, what was the phrase? Together
We Transform.
Together we transform. So you share this out to your page, right? Like you just did with this post. How many of you have gone to your friends and say, hey, would you mind sharing this post for me? This is like, it's pretty cool, right? You agree with that. Yeah, you like Rotary. Have your friends actually ask them to share out some of the content for you to get to their audiences, to their folks that see their pages. And hopefully that trickle effect will go out so that more people are seeing the awesome content that's on Brand Central.
Yes, there is so much information on Brand Central in Rotary.org. If you're in our district, DACDB. Massive amounts of information. And if you don't know how to get into DACDB, you forgot your username, you forgot your password, get with your club president, get your president to connect to your area governor, contact the district leadership. Barb Morgan is phenomenal on DACDB. She's sitting back there in the back and she's laughing right now because I just pointed her out. But she can get you reactivated in DACDB, and the information is there, including how to register for this and many of the other events.
Apparently, she just put that on DACDB. I saw it. It's already up there. It's already flushed out. All those details are there. So we've talked about branding. We talked about the Brand Central. We talked about Rotary.org, DACDB. It all still comes back to this idea of being missed as from a club. These are ways of extending your voice as a club so that you're not missed. What are the other aspects that we need to consider? What are the other questions that we need to start thinking about? One
of the big questions that we need to ask internally as our club is, what are some of the warning signs that we might be seeing that would give us the heads up that, ooh, we're coming close to this? One of the most critical warning signs that sometimes is just overlooked quickly is the inactivity of members. Members not even showing up to Rotary socials, or a decline in socials, or a decline in meeting times. Like if a club all of a sudden decide, well, we're not going to meet once a week, we're going to meet once a month.
Right.
There's one of those big warning signs. At that point, you need to have a serious conversation. You need to have a conversation with your fellow Rotarians, with your club leadership, to say, hey, what's going on? Can I help in some way?
Right.
You never know what little piece you can provide to sustain the inevitable.
Now, two pieces of that is really COVID has changed a lot, right? So like the idea of meetings as they were prior to about this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier, that change has occurred. So yes, we've all made adjustments to the way that we engage with each other. And so I've heard of a few clubs that did go to reduce the amount of hours they've had, but they were able to focus in on who they were as a club, and that identity was able to actually grow the club because they were able to say that this works for us. Not just because, hey, I just don't feel like going to the meetings. Let's just reduce it. There's a difference between saying to yourself, how do I maximize the engagement with our club based upon the identity of our club, versus I am going to change the way we operate things because we are tired. And if it comes down to this idea of being tired, of being exhausted, because we all are, we're all Zoom fatigued. That's a reality that we have to face, right? But if it is completely this, if it begins to overwhelm the positive aspects of your club, I agree with you. That's when you start having to reach out to the resources on the district level, the zone level, and even the other clubs that might be doing it successfully. If you're one of those people in those clubs, raise your hand and say, folks, what's up? What's going on here? Let's come together and figure out what we need to do next.
Yep. And remember, we're all volunteers. No one gets paid. And
speak for yourself. I'm kidding.
Did somebody forget to write him a check?
I didn't get paid. No.
But we're all volunteers,
Right.
so we must approach it as a Rotarian to a Rotarian, and be passive and be polite. Because what we don't want to do is come off to the president like, what are you doing? Why aren't we doing this? And cause that president to be frustrated and potentially lose a president.
Right. Exactly.
So we must remember we're all volunteers. We're all here to help. We're all here to do things together.
Right.
Because together we can conquer. Together, look at what we've done with polio.
Right.
If it wasn't for that, I mean, we wouldn't have polio almost eradicated from the globe.
Exactly.
So again, there's one of those things you can think of. If Rotary never existed, polio would probably still be here.
Right. So we're talking about warning signs of things to watch out for with your club. We just talked about a decline in the frequency of meetings, a decline of the time that people are attending meetings. Maybe there's a drop off in attendance. In chat, let us know. Go ahead and just raise your hand and say, put Rotary in chat if you've seen a member of your club not show up for a meeting for a while. In chat, go ahead and put that in there. I want to see how many people just have felt that way. Yeah. And the one follow-up question to that is, what did you do about it?
Yes. Very, very good question, because a lot of people, you don't see somebody for, let's say, 2 months. They don't come to meetings for 2 months.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you, hey, you've got the club directory. Reach out, call them. Hey, Jason, I noticed you haven't been at Rotary the last 2 months. What you been doing? Where you been doing? How busy are you?
Exactly.
That small touch can mean the world.
Now, you don't need to call them up and be like, why weren't you at the meeting? Like, there's a difference between checking in on a colleague and a friend within Rotary versus being like sternly talking to them, not as a family. And that's really what we are. So I would encourage that when you do reach out to these two folks, when you are checking in, be respectful of all the people, no matter where they are at during this COVID situation. Just be respectful of that. And I think it'll turn into a positive outcome as a result.
Absolutely. Yeah. And don't be afraid. I mean, my goodness, we are all family. Just like Jason said, we are here to support each other. We're here to give love to each other. And, as I was listening to your conversation with District Governor Irv, we are at a critical point in this pandemic year where we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train coming rolling at us. It is the end of the tunnel. So healing has now started to begin. And that's the time where we really need to reach out and really comfort those people who may have suffered great losses. Yeah. And that's who we are, again, as a people.
I just want to comment. So Patricia said lots. Patricia, are you referring to the question of how many people are not showing up? And if you are, go ahead and comment. I want to learn a little bit more about that so we can speak to that, because I'm sure you're not alone in that space. And if it's something else, feel free to let us know. One of the other warning signs when it comes to clubs is, especially right now, and I've seen this with the nonprofits that I work with, is the lack of focus. So what I mean by a lack of focus is COVID has put us in a position of ambiguity. So when things are going to open, what is this going to happen over here? What's the protocol? How do you get this loan? Who's going to, with the shuttered grant, with this and PPP, and I don't know what's happening at all. And so what happens is a lot of times over the past years that we've kind of just said, we'll just wait. We'll just, let's just, why don't we just do this little thing over here, I guess, and do this over here, I guess. And one of the things to me, especially right now, that's super critical, let me know how you feel about this, was that especially right now, there needs to be a focal point for the group, no matter what your size is, if it's 10, if it's 20, if it's 30, choose a direction for your club. Choose something to accomplish by the end of the year. We talked about strategic planning. Think shorter term than that. Accomplish something with your crew and do it together as a family. And that will give the energy necessary for you to move past what's going to happen. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. What's most important is to bring your club together, to focus in on something, get that energy back, and then move forward. And hopefully you can accomplish something. But if it doesn't, at least you rally the troops enough to move forward.
Absolutely. And that's exactly right. It's not what's going to happen, it's how we're going to deal with what's happening.
Sure.
And if we approach what's happening in a positive way, it may be a negative situation, but if we approach it in a positive way, we're going to come out stronger and better.
Right.
A lot of clubs are doing the now meeting in person hybrid, where let's say you don't feel 100% comfortable in meeting in person. That's great. Some of these clubs are actually doing hybrids. They're doing Facebook Live. I know 7 clubs that are absolutely doing that. While they're doing their live in-person club meeting, they're streaming it on Facebook. And one of the best things is our RI president right now is saying attendance is not critical.
Right.
No attendance requirements.
Right.
Because he's encouraging that to happen gradually back.
Right.
And that's awesome.
Right.
For us not to be worried, because a lot of clubs did have attendance policies.
Sure.
But putting that in place, that attendance is not required, that makes it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more easy for clubs to re-engage slowly at their pace.
Right. It's still important as we consider, hey, membership's not that important. You can go the lazy route and just say, fine, nobody cares about it, and you just stop paying attention to it, versus using that intentionally as a method of improving your club dynamics and your club health. Like, there's 2 different ways, and if you're on the lazy side, figure out how to get back over here so that it's more of a way to enable your club, not just let it fall by the wayside. Patricia, I see that your comment was related to the fact that, like, COVID should have made things easy for people to come in to your club, and you still see the number of people who are not coming in. You still see a lot of people not showing up, and you need a membership chair. Everyone in chat who might be of assistance with some membership perspective, go ahead and drop your name in chat. Say hi. Can everybody who might be able to help Patricia say hi in chat, please? Just say hi to her. Let her know that you might be a resource that can assist with her to get her from where her club is today to understand what she needs to do with membership. Yes, we're talking about membership here right now, but everyone in chat is a resource. Everyone you're talking to online is a resource. And right now, if as a family, it's up to us to also share the resources with each other. So if you're in chat and you can assist Patricia a little bit better, please do so. Let her know that you're available.
Yep. And every person in Rotary, every person, regardless if you are just a member or you are part of the club leadership, every person has the ability to help its club. Don't be afraid. Everybody makes mistakes. Don't be afraid to say, you know what, I think I might try to help lay in some members. I know a couple people. And one of the other things that you can think about, and this is part of the PR and PI part of it, is how many of your clubs have local newspapers, local TV stations, radio stations, and you don't have one of them as a member? Open up the membership to, let's say you weren't in Rotary and you're radio personality, star, and you get approached by a club to say, hey, we want to give you an honorary membership to test out Rotary, test the waters out. Yes, it's going to be a little bit of a financial burden for the club to take on an honorary member for a year, but in that year, he's going to be on his radio. He's going to be like, well, I just came from my Rotary Club meeting, and what a fantastic organization. Let me tell you what they're getting ready to do next week. And then when you start talking about fundraiser, this is where it all comes together. When fundraising, membership helps fundraising, membership helps public image helps fundraising, and helps membership. It all is a circle.
One of the things you just mentioned is a topic that I enjoy discussing quite a bit, which is the idea, and you touched on it, was the idea of partnerships. So let's hypothetically say this individual that you just mentioned, this radio person, did not want to join your club. It was just like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm just, doing my thing. A lot of times in Rotary, we choose to just say, okay, well, I'm going to go talk to some other person to join my club. We don't necessarily always focus on the opportunity to create those partnerships within the community with the individuals that still might be able to help us, and we might be able to help with them. Just because they don't want to join the club yet does not mean that the conversation stops. Going back to the point of clubs that might be dying off. What's the club health? Where am I at? One thing that says to me that a club is not healthy or might be on the decline is the lack of partnerships. How many people do you work with in the community? And they're like, well, we have these things. We're working with this person over here, this person over here. Are they members? No, but we have our hands. We're networking. We're doing things in the community. We're moving and shaking. Positive. How many people do you work with in the community that are not part of your club? That's possible. Yeah, it's possible. That's what you should be doing. And if that is the response, then that to me is a sign of being like, well, what? You need to figure out a way of connecting with people in the community, even if they're not part of your club, to push things forward. So yes, the opportunity, if the way that's productive to club attendance and growing your club, get them as an honorary member, get them to commit that time. That doesn't work. There's still an opportunity there to be a partner.
And you know how that happens? Your local fundraiser, your clubs getting ready to do a local fundraising.
There you go.
Invite that Rotary radio personality for a free ticket into the fundraiser.
Are you going to give me a free ticket?
Absolutely. I'll give you a free ticket.
Perfect.
If it accomplishes one thing by getting one person to see what you guys are all about. Because how many times during your fundraiser do you talk about what you all do? You know, each club is so vast in what your organization does,
right,
that person may hear, oh, wait, you help the local food bank? Oh, you do the soup kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wanted to do that. I wanted to try to see how I get involved in that.
Right.
Boom, done. Great, just gained a member. And then you also avoid closing your club down.
That's right. So we've talked a number of things that were signs. Is there anything else on your side that is a sign of concern from a membership point of view?
Well, one of the things that I also do when it happens, we've been doing a lot of RLI Zoom. RLI is, of course, Rotary Leadership Institute.
Sure.
And what that is, do we have questions? Nope. I thought we had a question coming up. But anyway, and I've been preaching about this, that there are things that shows general public that Rotary may be here, may not be here. And I'm going to speak about a club that is not in this district. But when I was out traveling, I want to say it was not in this district.
Sure they're not. Sure they're not, buddy.
Right. But we were going into the town, and it was an old Rotary road sign, crinkled, rusted,
yep,
bent up. And I thought, oh, there must have been a Rotary Club here at that one time. Until I actually talked to a person I was visiting in town. I'm like, did you all have a Rotary Club? Oh, no, yeah, we still do. I think they meet in the town hall. Something as simple as a road sign. You never know. Someone moving into the area.
Yep.
See the Rotary sign. Oh, wait, I used to be a Rotary Club in my old town. I have to join this one. You know,
exactly.
Partnership with a non-Rotarian. Go to the bank. Every bank loves to put little tiny clear window decals. I put one on two of the banks properties that I manage. They were happy to put it on there.
Really?
Now, one member from that branch and another member from the other branch is now Rotarians. You never know.
You never know. The partnerships, the PI, the networking is all part of the equation. So if these things do not sound familiar to you, might want to check in on your club health and ask some other folks like Patricia or Raymond. Raymond, thank you for Ray. Oh, what's up, Ray? Ray, thank you for offering to support Patricia. That's awesome. Those are the kind of connections that we need to see more often. So one of the things also that just one more thing for me for the club health to me is not staying in tune. You kind of touched on this about like, oh, this thing is happening in the community. If a club is not in tune with its community, right? If they don't know what is happening there, you mentioned the Rotarian magazine. Open up. Oh, she mentioned the Rotarian magazine.
Yeah, she just did.
Yeah. Oh, this is what's happening in Rotary. Great. You're paying attention to what's happening in Rotary. Are we paying attention to what's happening in our communities? What is important within those communities? And if we're not tapping into what is important in our communities, to me, that is a sign of concern. Because what are you doing if you're not helping, if you're serving yourself and making yourself feel good because you did this one thing you've been doing for 45 years and it's not even a thing anymore, but you feel good about it, then great. But people aren't going to join your club because you're out of touch.
Yep. And one of the ways you can get connected more to your community, go to the town and council meeting. They talk about the issues all the time.
Yes.
That is the easiest way to hear, oh, so-and-so on the corner of such and such, their fence is getting a little dilapidated. It may cost $200-$300. Right there is a Rotary project for you. Get involved, get engaged. And we have a question being handed to us. So if you get a question,
well, one thing I do want to say about this before we hop into the question, the council meetings and the whatever borough, the local meetings that are happening politically are going to be boring. That's fine. They're probably going to be boring, but they're going to give you tons of insight. So if you happen to take a nap, that's fine. Just check in every once in a while to see what's happening in your community, and it really means something.
These are phenomenal questions, and I really, really am excited about some of these questions.
Cool.
And you and I can tackle these together. First question, how can my club enhance its public image? Now, it's a hard question. If you don't think about how easy it is to enhance your public image.
Okay.
One of my pins. Wear your Rotary pin on every shirt you wear. Yeah. Someone's eventually going to say, what's that pin mean?
I was waiting for that.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I don't have one.
Let me tell you, before this evening is through, he will have a Rotary pin on that jacket.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait.
There we go.
We got
one right here.
We got one.
All right. Now, hopefully I don't prick myself and bleed all over the place.
Let's hope not.
Okay.
And actually, one of the things he's putting on is this year's Rotary theme pin. And a lot of people will probably ask, well, what does that mean? Leads you to, what is the Rotary theme all about? And what is the Rotary theme about? It is our Rotary International focus for the year. Yeah, he's going to lock in there. What it is, it's 3 doors, because the Rotary theme is Rotary opens doors of opportunity. And the opportunities is membership. Opportunities to fulfillment of your desire to help your fellow mankind, your fellow womankind. I wanted to say that before I get a whole room full of women back there upset at me. So that is the easiest way to increase your public's image of you. Wear your Rotary pin. I mean, that's why you get one at membership. You're eventually going to have, I swear, you will have someone that says, what does that pin mean? Or even if you get if you are a Rotary Paul Harris Society member, it's going to lead into what's the Paul Harris Society? What's the Rotary Foundation? And the Rotary Foundation is a huge open book.
Right. So one of the things this is really great for people that have anxiety at parties. No, I'm being serious. Like, if you go to a party, you don't like, what am I going to talk about? Oh my gosh, there's so many people around, COVID, whatever. But you get what I'm saying, right? This gives an opportunity. You could probably talk about Rotary for half an hour. So all you got to do is just sit there. Someone's like, oh, what's that pin? You're like, thank goodness someone asked me about it. And then you can talk about Rotary. So if you don't like parties, wear a pin. It'll help you out.
Yep, absolutely. We have a Facebook page. Is that enough? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
No. I'm glad that's what the answer was.
Yeah, right? And I didn't slip him the answer down here. What's your thought? What's
so? Just because you have $1 million doesn't mean that it's benefiting you or anybody else. Just because you have something is not valuable. Unless you have like a Babe Ruth trading card or a new NFT, but that's beside the point. The point is, like, you need to be able to use the thing that you have, which is Facebook, a tool, effectively. And if you're not using that tool to its fullest, or even scratching the surface of its potential, then it's just a tool that is sitting in your shed that is rusting away like the hammer or saw you bought one year because you thought you would be a carpenter. So this is. And what you need to be able to do is use that Facebook page a little bit better, connect with folks, make sure that you're liking other posts from that page, you're sharing information so that people want to join that page. But that by itself is still just limiting. If you just say to yourself, I got a Facebook page, I'm doing that well, that might be okay, but my suggestion would be to think about the audiences to which you serve and that you want to reach. And then say to yourself, do these audiences do they only exist on Facebook? The answer is probably going to be no. Okay, so where are these other audiences living? Just like you would with your own business. I want to sell something. How are you going to sell Rotary? If you sell your product only on Facebook, but all your customers are reading the newspaper, well, then that's a problem. Where do your potential members lie? Focus on building that up, and which may not be Facebook, but at least get Facebook correct if you're going to be there.
Yep. And don't forget about the high schools and colleges.
Yep.
We have interactors and rotaractors of that age group. Put a simple sign up on the board, because the principals will absolutely allow you to do that. If it's going to benefit that student, put something up.
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to get that student like, oh, I want to actually do that.
All right.
Third question.
I'm going to read you the third question. I'm going to read them the third question. Can't ask me all the questions.
Okay.
This is a long question.
This is a long one.
We try to get new members, but no one seems to know what we do. How can we change that?
This is an outstanding question. There is so many resources out there for you to become fluent with that when someone asks you, what does Rotary do? You have videos that you could, hey, let me show you this video real quick. You know, there's a great video out there, and you're going to see it later throughout the district conference that we're going to play. It talks about the 4 organizations that works with our youths. The RILA, the Interact, the Rotaract, and the Youth Exchange. Rotary is so vast. There's so much to talk about. We can spend a whole week. District Governor, we're going to just turn this into a whole week district conference. Because we got a lot to talk about.
Exactly.
Immerse yourself in Rotary. Go to RLI. RLI is Rotary Leadership Institute. And let me tell you, it is filled with some of the most fantastic information. And right now, it's all Zoom. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to travel to Muncie, to Hagerstown, to Williamsport. You don't have to go anywhere. It's right on your laptop, and you will learn so much about Rotary that you can't wait to go and tell your friend, let's go out for a cup of tea. Let me talk to you about what I just did this past weekend. Don't forget, while you're at RLI, post it on Facebook. Your friend may just say, what was that you just went to?
Yeah.
You know, more questions.
So one thing that I do want to respond to that real quick is the following. Like, Jason and Herb, great job. Thomas, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas Carr.
Appreciate you. We appreciate you a lot. One thing on top of everything that you just stated about members not knowing what we do. This is to me, this is probably one of the most complex questions we're going to get, because, you might hear me talk about this tomorrow, including the areas of focus and strategic objectives of Rotary and our strategic objectives locally or in our district, and the goals from IRV and the goals of your club. That's probably 30 different things. So how do you convey 30 different things to somebody effectively in a very short amount of time? You can't. And at least I don't think you can. And so the thing that I suggest for people to do when you're trying to communicate what Rotary does is to look into yourself and ask yourself the reason why you're doing what you do. And then say that if you're talking one-on-one. If you're sharing things out socially on public media or social media, I would even say that that's still probably the best option. If you go into your regimen of, well, you see, we've been doing things since 1950, like people are going to fall asleep. But if you just say, hey, listen, last year, if we didn't do what we did in Rotary, there would still be 100 million people with polio who want to be able to walk. But since I'm a part of Rotary, we were able to change that.